Okay, everybody, this is Shay again. This is the how-to for assignment number 2, working with type and texture. What we're going to do here is we are going to learn how to use InDesign's type formatting tools. And we're also going to deal a little bit with balance and composition. So what I'm going to have you do for this assignment is we're going to pick some text, quite a bit of text, and actually create a layout that is nothing but text. So the first thing I want you to do is to pick a work of literature from the public domain. And what that basically means is public domain books are books whose copyright has expired, and that lack of copyright allows you to use those in your projects without any kind of legal issues. We'll get into a much deeper discussion of copyright over the course of the semester, but for this, what you basically need to know is that if a book is under an existing copyright, you can't reproduce parts of that book for your own work like this legally. You shouldn't anyway. But by going to a public domain work, you are free to use that and pieces of that work as you want without any legal repercussions. Typically, anything published before 1923 under current law is in the public domain. But what you can do is you can Google for books in the public domain and come up with a nice hefty list of books that you could use for this project. And I've done that, and I ended up at Goodreads with a list of popular public domain books. So I kind of scrolled through and picked one. And for this demo, I'm going to use some text from Bram Stoker's Dracula. And what you're going to need is you're going to need about 5 paragraphs of text. The paragraphs can be of varying length. Okay, so you'll go through and pick your work, and then find paragraphs that you think you can work with. They can, be sequential, or you can pick them from different parts of the book. That's not important for this, just as long as they come from the same book in the public domain. All right. So I've picked mine, and I'm going to go ahead and select my 5 paragraphs from this copy, and then I'm going to edit, copy, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch to InDesign. Now you're going to create a new document, and that's under File, New Document, which you should have done for your last assignment. I do want to check and make sure my measurements are in inches, and they are. And then for the width, I want this to be a 10-inch by 10-inch document, and I want margins of 0. So I change that, and because this is locked, if I make one change here, again, in tab, it makes that change to all 4. So that needs to be 0. Okay, so that's the 2 things I really need to check here, and hit OK. And I've got a 10 by 10 document now. Should you not be showing your document in inches and you're showing it in picas or pixels or something, again, remember the way to check that is to go to Preferences, Units and Increments, and check it here. This is where you can set points, picas, inches, millimeters, and all of that. So I'm in inches. If you end up in another measurement, this is where you change it: Preferences, Units, and Increments. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I just copied all of my text that I'm going to bring into this document. The way I like to work with something like this with multiple text is I could either create a Word document and import it, but in this case, because I'm going to work more fluidly, I'm going to draw a text box out with the Type tool. So if you click on the Type tool, and then just off to the side here, I'll draw a big text box, and then you can see the flashing cursor. That means I have a text box, and I can then edit, paste all that text into the text box. Okay. Now for this assignment, you have to have 6 total text boxes on this that you're going to kind of compose your design with. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for these paragraphs, and then you will need another text box for the name of the book and the author of the book, if the author is known or if it's not a collected work with multiple authors. So what I want to do is go ahead and select my text tool, and just kind of draw out 5 text boxes of varying size, or 6 text boxes. Okay. And then the way I would maybe approach this was, before I even start really dealing with this text, is I would click and drag and select all of those. And up here, give them a black stroke. And then again, kind of thinking about the principles of balance and composition that we've talked about, and some of the principles of design. Let's go ahead and start maybe figuring out what a rough layout of this would be that works just in terms of rectangular shapes. So I might go in and do a larger rectangle here and kind of balance that out. Make this one a taller, skinnier rectangle, and then kind of move some of these others around and start coming up with some kind of composition that works for me, in terms of just thinking about how these work together and play off of one another, and how I might fill this space the best way possible. And again, a lot of this is just kind of moving stuff around, seeing what works, playing with the layout, and seeing if you think it's balanced or not. So I might even go all the way to the edge with some of these. You don't want to rotate any of these boxes. You have to, for this assignment, you have to keep everything nice and straight and can't do any rotations. So if you accidentally rotate it, you can undo that and fix that. So here's kind of a basic layout that I think I'm going to kind of try to start with. There are things that I know I'm going to change over the course of this to balance it out better. Like that probably needs to go here, and maybe increase the size of that. But I won't spend much more time just kind of playing around with these boxes, so I can kind of show you how to go about this assignment.